Hi guys, I felt the need to do justice to the Aprilia Mana, as most reviews are inaccurate at best and they all fall into the easy cliche of saying that the Mana is half a bike, half a scooter. Let me start by saying what the Mana actually is. It is an 850cc twin-cylinder street bike with a CVT transmission. Think Aprilia Shiver with a CVT. It's not a hybrid between a bike and a scooter, not at all. It rides like a bike and it's way heavier to drive in heavy traffic than a scooter. I had a T-Max before this and it would split lanes like hot knife on butter. The Mana doesn't. But even the most bike-like scooter, such as the Yamaha T-Max, is pretty boring to ride. Whereas the Mana has a racy chassis and the motor that pulls and pulls and pulls on traffic lights. I'll talk about my experience with the CVT, which is the unique thing the Mana has to offer, and if you were not dying to know what it's like, you would not be watching it. So bear with me. On touring mode, the bike rides really well, smooth as silk, and it pulls hard if you open the throttle. And in case you don't know, the CVT gearbox lets you pull evenly all the way, without the gaps in power you get when you switch gears on a regular bike. So the CVT gearbox has a very steady power delivery. It just knows the amount of gear ratio it needs to give you for you to get the best torque, or help it by downshifting by using the preset 6 gears through the shift pedal on the left side of the bar. And as soon as you use the throttle, it disengages the gear you had selected. I find myself downshifting quite a bit. It's quite useful to have it. I live in LA, so I quite often take it to the canyons, and in the beginning I used to put the bike on sports manual mode so I could use the paddle shifter and ride very sporty. One day I was trying to keep up with some fellows that were riding really hard, and I switched to sport mode, which is not sport manual but sport mode. It gives the engine more power by revving higher throughout, and I hadn't used it in the past because the engine gets quite vibrant. But to my amazement, I could ride much faster in the canyons than using the preset gears with a paddle shifter, which, believe me, you could not tell the difference between it and a DCT. Why? Again, because when I used the preset gears, I'd find myself with a gear that was slightly too high or too low when carving curves up and down the canyons. But with the sport mode, the CVT would be pulling just right in every condition. And also when going down the canyons, sport mode delivers quite a bit of engine brake, and I did not need to use the pedal shifter to downshift for engine brake. The Mana's engine is not a revvy engine, and it's not made for you to ride hard and hit the tracks, no. It's an engine that gives you a satisfying torque and speeds to have fun in the streets or in the highways. It will cruise on the highways between 60 and 80 an hour without a sweat, though the chassis geometry is of a naked bike, not a touring machine. Does it vibe? Yeah, it does. Who cares? It's a lively engine that lets you know what's happening through vibration. The only thing I don't like is the exhaust note, which is quite boring. I would definitely change the pipe to something more sporty. The front forks are on the soft side and non-adjustable, whereas the rear is. My bike is the naked version with no ABS, and it's a bargain if you can find one. But I would pay a little bit more and get the GT model with ABS. Why? Because it's cooler looking, and ABS is something you never need until you do. Believe me, I know. I bought mine because I have an elbow injury that gets worse if I change gears all the time. But after a few months with the Mana, I would not change it for a bike with gears. I have as much fun with it, and when the traffic gets heavy, the CVT is just a blessing. So if you're interested, get one. It's an exotic Italian bike. I love it. Cheers.